After 3 years of waiting for The Last of Us, it's finally, and the plot is leaked. Everybody got so hyped for this game until the internet decided this game was absolute dog shit and that you shouldn't play it whatsoever.
These spoilers basically show you that the game is not worth buying.
This game is shaping up to be a complete dumpster fire, dude. Like, people are canceling their pre-orders left and right.
I won't be buying Last of Us 2.
You have betrayed the fan base.
I don't even want to fucking play it anymore.
And it's quite fitting that both Halo 5 is dog shit, and so is Last of Us 2.
It doesn't fucking matter if the game is out or not. The story is still dog shit.
And for those people, you actually gotta play the game to have an opinion on the game. The first Last of Us game had such a big support around it. The first Last of Us made other games on new gen consoles look like absolute dog shit.
Nope.
Compared to this game, Last of Us is a fucking masterpiece. So Last of Us 2 had a big community to fulfill with this new game. So what did they do? Made you search through 1,000 buildings for screws. But by far The Last of Us had some of the most goriest and most bloodshed gameplay I have ever seen, and it's fun as shit to play. Naughty Dog grew upon its hidden combat. In the game, you can now build bombs for enemies to walk over, you can prone in the grass and sneak behind your enemy, you can build silencers to headshot your enemies, and you can make clickers go after your opponents. There are so many different paths you can take to get around your opponents. With huge landscapes and branching paths, you can always find something new in the gameplay. The hide and seek gameplay, you can sneak up on your enemy and kill them, but most likely get spotted, so you have to go behind cover and craft a Molotov to throw it and then run back to cover. The game has some of the most gruesome moments. When killing a dog, the owner comes over and cries in agony.
All right.
Explosive arrows blow up people into pieces, and when you stab somebody in the neck, blood shoots out of the neck. The game didn't live up to its E3 trailer, but it did live up to being one of the most beautiful games of its time. One of the things that I loved about this game was that it showed something new we hadn't seen before. This game is placed in Seattle. Most cities we cover is like LA or New York or Chicago, so I thought this was a brilliant idea to have a game in such a nature setting. When you walk around the vast landscapes, you see vines covering buildings, water tearing through the already wrecking city. You just sometimes have to stand and look at how carnage there is. One of the things that I thought was so crazy about this entire game is that it had some of the coolest scenes, like driving car or riding a boat through destroyed buildings or streets that have caved into each other. And by far, I enjoyed this game a shit ton. But what about the story?
That's pretty good.
Forewarning, this is spoilers. If you want to go watch gameplay or do that now. So this is by far one of the longest story modes I have ever played in any game. It took me about 24 hours to complete, and over a 3-day period. This is a long, lengthy game that spends your time and your investment into these characters, and you see them grow. At the beginning of the game, Abby kills Joel with a golf club, and Ellie's like, I'm not gonna take any of that shit, and goes after Abby. When I first started learning about the story and realizing people hated it so much, I was really confused. I didn't really realize that this is a bad story plot. I thought it was actually pretty good. I know that killing a lovable character such as Joel that we played through all of Last of Us 1, and then now going to 2 different characters we never really played, is a big deal. But sacrifice in games or shows or TV shows needs to happen, or it's just the same shit over and over and over again, and nothing changes. And so pretty much Ellie goes after Abby to Seattle. Once you're finally face to face, it switches to Abby's side, and everything you worked on Ellie, you have to work for Abby. And I think this is a cool idea, is that the stories aren't running parallel to each other. It's contradicting each other or crossing each other. For example, moments before Abby left the hospital, Abby was there and Ellie just missed her. So it's just those small little moments you didn't realize that you could have gotten her, and you see all these foreshadowing moments that you didn't get in other places in the game. And I think this is a really cool idea, and at the end of the game, you're kind of left on a lovable cliffhanger. I wouldn't say it's the best ending to a video game, and I'm not saying it's the best story to any video game, but it does invest your time and your emotions into these characters, and you grow with them throughout this huge lengthy game. For my final comment on this is that if you do not like the combat and you do not like the story, you can at least say that the game is a masterpiece of its visuals. It may not be the best game in the world, and I can totally agree with that. There is a lot of flaws in the story and in the gameplay, but there is a huge portion of the game where you sometimes just have to stand there and look around the surrounding places. And that's what makes the game good, not because of what they did behind the scenes. When the game was getting leaked and everybody was freaking out during that time period, everybody was freaking out about, oh, this person said this for Sony, or they said they were lying and they were blah, blah, blah. That's not to the game. It's understandable if people are doing shady shit behind the scenes, but if you're judging that on the game, then you're not judging the game. You're judging the production of the game. And the game actually came out pretty well. It's like saying, I'm not going to watch this movie because the person is sexist. Obviously, that person is fucked up, but it shouldn't take away from you watching the movie and forming your own opinion on it because somebody who directed it has an opinion on that. That's what I'm trying to say, is that by far anything, you should take the time, watch some gameplay, or play the game yourself and form your own opinion. Anyway, happy 4th of July. Y'all stay safe.